How do you know what your calling is? You, like every other living entity on Earth, has a purpose and a mission. You will have the ability to do that thing like nobody else on Earth. And doing that thing will be of greater satisfaction and fulfillment to you than doing any other thing. Further, doing that thing will make the world a better place than it would have been if you had never done it. This is not a sermon. Although these principles are often expressed from a pulpit or altar, they are equally valid whether you consider yourself to be a child of God, a member of a complex society, or even just a living organism in an interdependent ecosystem. By any perspective, it is reasonable to believe that your greatest chance at happiness is to do the work that your talents and passions best fit you for, in a way that is of maximum service to those around you. So the question is, how do you know what that purpose is? Or, an even better question is, how do you clearly visualize that purpose, boldly state it, and courageously act towards it? That's a better question, because for many of us, the problem is not a lack of information. We already know that purpose. We know it deep down in our guts, what we are passionate to do, what we are born to be. Our problem is a lack of nerve. Our internal resistance makes us too afraid to clearly state what we burn to do, even to ourselves. Jung observed, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But first, you have to admit who that is. Here's the good news. Whether you suffer from a lack of clarity or a lack of courage, there is a solution. Several solutions, actually. You might even say infinite solutions. Because the same force that implanted that purpose in you, whether you want to call it God, society, or nature, wants you to know it and to live it. If you do not know what your life work is today, it is probably not because your mission has been hiding from you. In fact, it is far more likely that you have been hiding from it. As Jesus said in Matthew 7:7, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." This is the first of a series of videos to set forth 4 techniques to help you find and claim your life's work. To summarize, those techniques are to ask, to analyze, to unearth, and to explore. Today we begin with the first, to ask. The premise behind this technique is simple. Trying on your own, you have not been able to find and own your life mission. So you should ask someone else for help. Let's unpack that. Who is the you? The you is the conscious part of yourself, the deciding part. In psychological terms, this part is often called the ego, the I, or as Jung might say, the lowercase s self. This is the part that weighs evidence, considers arguments, and makes deliberate choices. This you may be wonderfully skilled at many important tasks, but if you have not claimed your life work yet, we may safely say that it is not suited for that particular job. So you should ask someone else. But who is that someone else? In many ways, it doesn't really matter. What is important is who it is not. Let me explain. In 12-step fellowships, there is the concept of the higher power that members pledge to turn to for guidance because their egoic lowercase s self has also failed them in some important way. For many members, that higher power is the God that they learned about in an organized religion. But it does not need to be. Strictly speaking, in 12-step fellowships, the only requirement for the higher power is that it not be the member himself or herself. In other words, it cannot be that member's conscious ego, their lowercase s self. But it can be literally anything else. For some members, It is the 12-step fellowship itself, a light bulb, an abstract concept like love, or simply, to whom it may concern. One easy solution is that when you ask for help finding your life purpose, you could ask, whoever or whatever implanted my life purpose in me. How do you ask? This one is easy. You internally or externally, through voice or writing, address your someone else with what you want to say. It doesn't need to be formal. It doesn't need to be religious. It just needs to be sincere. You're opening a dialogue with something bigger than your conscious, fearful ego. As it says in James 1:5, "If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally." The wisdom is available. You just have to request it. So, what kind of help do you ask for? Often, when we make requests, we have a tendency to create a list of specific items, like we are writing a letter to Santa. We want a better job, more money, a nicer car, etc., etc., etc. But that's not the help you need now. Even if you got a better job that paid you more money and were driving a nicer car, if you are still hiding from your life mission, you still have the same problem. To keep things simple, what you really need are two things. 1. You want to know what your life mission is. 2. You want the courage and strength to claim it and do it. That's it. Not a shopping list, just clarity and courage. Now that you have asked, you can listen for your answer. After all, true communication goes both ways. The trick is being able to hear that answer when it comes. In most people's experience, the answer often comes in very subtle ways. Imagine that someone is speaking to you in a very steady, calm, and quiet voice. If you are being steady, calm, and quiet yourself, you will hear that voice just fine. But if you, or your environment, are chaotic, loud, and full of chatter, you are likely to miss what that voice is saying. Forms of chaos and noise that can block out answers include obvious things like addictions of all kinds, relationship drama, veering from one crisis to another, constant distraction and stimulation. Less obvious but just as blocking is the continuous, constant chatter in our heads, the voice that never stops commenting, judging, planning, worrying, fantasizing. Entire books, libraries in fact, have been written about how to resolve these distractions and quiet the noise inside and outside of our heads. Meditation, prayer, journaling, nature walks, therapy. The more we educate ourselves on how to reduce interference, the clearer we can hear the answers. But here's what's important. You don't need to be a master meditator or perfectly healed to hear your calling. You just need to create enough quiet space for the answer to slip through. Here are 3 ways that you might receive your answer. First, you may receive answers through your intuitions and feelings. A sudden knowing, a feeling of rightness that you can't quite explain, a pull towards something that your logical mind might dismiss, but your gut insists on. Campbell said, "If you do follow your bliss, you put yourself on a kind of track that has been there all the while, waiting for you. That pull is your bliss calling." Second, you might get clues through dreams and visions. Jung said, "Dreams are the royal road to the unconscious." Your calling might appear in symbolic form while you sleep, or in vivid daydreams and visions. An image that won't leave you alone, a recurring theme in your dreams, a scene that plays in your mind when you're drifting off. Pay attention to these. Your unconscious is trying to show you something your conscious mind has been afraid to see. Lastly, you can receive answers through synchronicities, the name that Jung gave the meaningful coincidences that occur in the outside world. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You think of something, and then it appears. You need information, and someone mentions exactly the right book. You wonder about a path, and then 3 people independently suggest it. These aren't random. They're the universe, or your unconscious, trying to get your attention through the external world. As Jung wrote, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. As you listen for your answers, above all, do this. Relax. You are not making this process happen. It's been trying, dying, to happen for your whole life. What you are doing now is getting your lowercase s self out of the way and allowing it to happen. Your calling has been pounding on the door. You're not building the door, you're finally opening it. So here's your practice. Make your 2 requests. Let me know my life's work, and give me the courage to do it. Then create some quiet, even just 10 minutes a day. Turn off your phone, sit still, take a walk without podcasts, journal without judgment, and pay attention to your intuitions, to your dreams, to the synchronicities that occur in your life. The answer is coming. Be ready to hear it.